Yo, guys, how's everyone doing? I'm still getting this air here about bitrate, and I think it's because my old settings are still in effect for the stream, and I throttled the bitrate just because my PC was getting a little older. I wonder if I change the bitrate back to 6,000, it will be better. The concern I have though is then I'd have to restart the stream. It says I should use a bitrate of 9,500. Like I'm not setting the bitrate anywhere. I don't understand. Wrong mic. I don't think so. It's the only mic I fucking got. Let's see. Yeah. Oh, it is the wrong mic. Well, what the fuck? Hold on a sec, guys. Yo, is that better? Is that audio better? Okay. I'll fix the bitrate for the next stream, but does the quality look good? This should be in HD. Audio should be good. Let me know. Cool. Okay. So, how's everybody doing? Hope everyone's doing good. Awesome. Good morning. Good morning. A little bit of an earlier stream today. I know you guys have been egging me to do my streams at a better time for a lot of you guys who are not in the same time zone as me. So hopefully this time's a little more amenable for all my Euro followers and things like that. So we're going to talk about Bitcoin, Ethereum, the dollar. We'll look at ES, gold, silver, and then maybe if we have some time, we'll look at some altcoins as well. But kind of just want to talk about, the trades that I'm in, my analysis, what I think might happen next. We've put in a new yearly high on Bitcoin, right? So this was the previous yearly high. You can see we traded above that. So fresh highs. What does that mean? What are we looking for as a trader? All that kind of stuff. So I will get into all of that in a moment. Want to give a real quick shout out to the sponsors and partners of these streams, Prime XBT. So if you guys want to know the best way to support me, it's by using my affiliate links, right? So Prime XBT is the one who's been sponsoring these streams for well over a year now. So I thank them very much for the support. And if you want to support me, support the channel, you want to continue to see content coming out like this, use the link in the description. Use code Mayne50 before you deposit any money to get a 7% deposit bonus to a maximum of $7,000. And on Prime, without KYC, you can trade gold, silver, you can trade ES. So if you're wanting to follow those trades that I'm posting that aren't specifically crypto, obviously you can trade all of your crypto there as well. You can do that on Prime. So thanks for the Prime team. Yeah, if you want to support me, click that link, deposit some money, start trading over there. I know a lot of you do because the Wins channel is full of it. So yeah, let's get into Bitcoin here. So as you guys know, I was pretty confident, on the way up here in terms of my directional bias. So what was I looking for? And being super bullish basically on this sweep here, right? We were bullish there. We were targeting up into here. That was pretty clear. It's only been, how do I always manage to fucking spit on the fucking monitor? What's wrong with me? We were pretty clear, right? So we did well trading this range, being bullish after we reclaimed the range low to the range high. Then we had this big sweep. I was bullish for another leg up to 28 to 32K. So that's been consistent. If you go through, it's easier to go through my Telegram now than it is Twitter. I do a lot of shit posting on Twitter. The bigger your account gets on Twitter, the more annoying it is to use, right? Because you just get so much stupid shit in the comments, just so much noise. And I just don't really give a shit anymore. Like if you go look at my old tweets from a couple years ago, it used to just be charts. That's all I would post, is charts and alpha. And I just don't really give a shit as much anymore to do that on Twitter. Not saying I don't do that at all. Now I've taken that to Telegram. So if you want my pure kind of signal only, no noise thoughts on the markets live while I'm trading, Telegram's going to be the way to do that. We've been running the Telegram since December. So it's all chronological. You can go see trades that I got right, trades that I got wrong. It's all in there. I don't delete messages. I don't delete tweets or anything like that. But it was on Twitter as well. It's just there's a lot of shit posts in between. But we've been pretty consistent about being a bull here for the last couple of months. Well, a lot of people were unsure. Yeah, we took a couple of shorts, but for the most part, we've been focused on longs. This last little consolidation is where things got a little tricky. Because I kind of had conflicting signals, right? We were coming up into this high time frame resistance area. We had a range high sweep and a range low sweep. So I was kind of torn on whether or not we were going to continue up or if we were going to see a larger pullback to the downside. So my ideas and my thesis around what was going to happen here was a little bit indecisive, right? And that's okay. That happens sometimes. Sometimes you're unsure of your directional bias, and maybe that means that you shouldn't be in a trade right now. So generally, when I'm trading, the first thing I like to figure out is what is my high time frame bias, my high time frame draw on liquidity. So where do I think the high time frame trend is going to go to next? Are we expanding, going up, or are we contracting, going down? Are we breaking out, or are we breaking down? Are we going up or down? That's the first thing you kind of want to figure out. So when I talk about trading checklist, right? I always say, hey, it's got to tick all the boxes, right? I always talk about this checklist. The first one is this, right? Where is my draw on liquidity? What direction is my bias? Do I think that the high time frame is going up, or do I think that it's going down? Because once you figure out what direction you believe the high time frame is going, all of these other points on the checklist, the lower time frame trade signals, or the lower time frame analysis, it's all hindered upon or based upon, the draw on liquidity. So if I'm bullish for my draw on liquidity, so if I think this is up, okay, now on the low time frame, I'm going to want to find a high time frame PD array, right? So what are those? Order blocks, breakers, fair value gaps, things like that. I'm going to be looking for that high time PD array, usually at the discount of the range. And if my bias is up, I'm looking for bullish order blocks, right? Bullish breaker blocks, things like that. If I'm bullish, I'm not looking to get long in a bearish OB. That just doesn't make sense. So that's what I mean by the high time frame bias and draw on liquidity. That's the first thing you kind of need to figure out. And then you go down the list. Okay, now I need to find my high time frame area of interest. So if this is my range, and I think ultimately we trade up from here. I'm going to want to be looking in the bottom part of this range for an order block or a breaker or something of that nature, right? And then when price ends in a discount, right? This is your premium. This is your discount. Then I will zoom in here, and now I'm going to look for my low time frame pattern or entry trigger. However you want to get in. Is that an over-under? Is it an SFP? Is it a breaker? Is it another order block? Right? And then is the risk reward good? All those things come into play after you figure this out. Because if I do not have my high time frame bias, I don't know what I'm looking for or where I'm looking for it. Right? So it's super important to find that high time frame bias first. And sometimes it's not that obvious. Usually the rule of thumb is, where was the last place that price ran liquidity? We're probably going the other direction, right? So that's why this one was so easy. When we had this run, okay, we just ran a major weekly swing low. Where's the next most likely draw on liquidity? Probably to here. Right? Very simple. Same thing here. We just ran a major low and broke back inside. Where's probably the next draw on liquidity? Probably up at the range high, right? So that's kind of how you got to think of it. But in this area, it was a little tricky because there was the run on the high, right? And a run on the low. And the reason I ended up initially going with shorts, so I shorted this candle here. You can go see it in Telegram there. We shorted this candle here, and I was targeting a move back to the lows because we ran the low, then we ran the high. I'm like, okay, I think we run the lows again next, right? Because that's all price can do. Can either go sideways, right? Or it can go up, or it can go down. That's it. So you assume sideways until it breaks out, right? So if we're in a range, you assume it is a range until it is no longer a range, right? It's that easy. This is a range until it was no longer a range. So you could buy the low, sell the high, buy the low, sell the high, buy the low, sell the high. And then eventually it actually starts to trend one direction or the other. So I had a little bit of conflicting data here in terms of just how I look at the charts with my bias. I was like, okay, I personally thought, yeah, I can see an argument for longs and shorts, but my view on the dollar was that it is going to rally. And my view on equities was that they are ready to turn over. So those two additional pieces were like, okay, I think I'm going to go with the bearish bias here. And that ended up being wrong, which is fine. I took out some of the trade here. So we shorted here. We got a dump. I closed 25% of my trade. And once we SFP'd this on the 12-hour, I probably should have closed the rest of my trade simply because this is a strong signal that, hey, there's buying interest down here. We probably are going higher, right? We just ran a high. Now we just ran a low again. Probably trades back up, but I didn't. Wasn't trading over the Easter long weekend really very much. Was watching the Masters, was, out of town, visiting family, doing that kind of thing, chilling. So I probably could have closed the rest here. I closed 25%. And then when we had this 12-hour sweep, I probably should have closed the rest, but I didn't. I let it ride. And effectively, I got stopped out of the remainder today, right? But last night, I flipped long on Ethereum to hedge because I'm like, if this is going to go up, I think it goes up hard. And I want to have some long exposure. So what was the long setup? The nice thing is, for you guys at least, is even though I was bear biased and I ended up taking the short here, right, down into here, I gave you guys the long setup in Telegram. I gave you the long setup. I posted with the RR tool even, right? I gave you straight up, like, this is the exact long setup with the long tool and everything. So it's not like I was, this is, again, I didn't take the trade myself. Where is it here? But I laid it all out. And I know a lot of you guys took it because you guys let me know, usually in the wins channel and things like that. and I did a bunch of writing on it, right? But I literally gave y'all the trade, right? So this was from Telegram. I posted this in Telegram on, what day is this? April 6th? Yeah, April 6th. So I gave you the entire trade. It's not that I just didn't take it. My bias ended up being correct, or my bias ended up being incorrect, excuse me. But I still saw and was aware of the potential for the long setup there. So I posted it and I said, listen, the long setup makes sense. We have the H12 sweep. We have this H12 breaker here. And then we got a bunch of low time frame confirmations within the H12 breaker. So what were those, right? So I'll just chart, I'll mark this up from bare bones here. So we had our range low, okay? And then we had our range high. Right? Boom, ping pong, ping pong. Here, we made a higher high. Okay, so now this is now the range low. And this is the range high. Okay? This swing. We have a 12-hour bullish breaker right here. Okay? The up candles before the down move that took out stops. So we have a bullish 12-hour swing. Remember that checklist I was just talking about? Bias. Okay, well, we have a 12-hour swing that's bullish. So your bias should be up, right? High time frame PD array, breaker blocks, OBs, etc. Here's your high time frame PD array. You also have a bullish SFP within this high time frame PD array on the 12-hour chart. So that's check one, check two. Now, low time frame trigger. Did we get the low time frame trigger? Right? Within the 12-hour sweep. Just this. So within this 12-hour sweep, right, we got our initial push up, and then I had marked out this candle, right? And I said, hey, okay, we got our breaker here, up here. Break in market structure, up candle for the down move that ran the low, and then within all of this, right? So within the high time frame OB with our bull bias, do we get a low time frame trigger? Absolutely. One sweep here, another sweep here, another sweep here, all within the context of the high time frame being bullish, high time frame PD array, low time frame trigger. So you had multiple confluences on the chart. And I posted these the entire time on Telegram. Like if you go through my Telegram channel, even though I was in the short, I posted about the long. I posted about the long trade over and over and over again. And you can see we got multiple sweeps. And I explained what I call stacking, right? So you see multiple low time frame setups forming within the larger high time frame setup, and then eventually we got the expansion and the target being the range high, right? Where did this setup form? Here's your range low, right? Wait, where's your range low here? Sorry. Here is your range low. Why is it doing this to me? Here is your range low. Here is your range high. Look where the setup occurred. Right in that sweet spot, right in the discount of the range. So I posted a video on YouTube about this. It was an excerpt from a stream, right? I'm trading a range that I think resolves upward. I think eventually we trade out of the range to the upside. I want to be longing, right, in the lower part of the range at a discount. Right? That's what you're seeing here. Here's your range. There's your 50. There's your move into the discount. And then all of those other confluences stacked on top of there. Right? All of those other things stacked on top of there. Played out. High time frame PD array, directional bias, blah, blah, blah. Okay? So hopefully some of you guys took that long and made some money. I know some of you did because I checked the wins channel and you guys are sharing your wins. If I was in that long, I would have taken some profit here for sure. I mean, it already hit 3R based on the setup I posted going into this high. This is last month's high. This is the former yearly high. We just swept the level. So I would take some profit on that move above that high at least, or de-risk a little bit by adjusting your stop to break even. That's just me. Obviously, it's your trade. Do what you want. But it looks good now, right? I mean, basically, if we're looking at this with a fresh analysis here now, we have a potential new swing forming depending on how this candle closes. So we are still within this range here, okay? But if we close above here, then we will have a new range, right? From here to here. Then what would we be doing? We'd probably be looking to potentially buy some sort of retrace into this range for another leg higher. Still not confirmed yet, though. We're still within this structure. We've run the high. Now we need to see if we're going to break out of the high. Then we have new structure, right? Or if we're going to remain within this structure. But for now, it looks pretty good. This looks like a bullish move. It looks like we just went sideways, right, for a few weeks here. A lot of people wanting to long down here. Never got it. And now it looks like it might just be ready to rip and trade higher. So I think it looks bullish right now. And I think the bulls are in firm control. We do have resistance over here. But to me, I think the obvious target is up into these highs here next. Assuming this continues to break out and continues to show strength, this would be the next target. Now, the only thing I think that would change my mind on this trading higher, well, a few things. One, if we SFP here, that's the first thing you're going to want to watch, right? If we put in a daily SFP here, probably get a bit of a pullback. And really, if you take your tool and you say, okay, here's kind of our, effectively, this consolidation is, here. If we're going to pull back, you do not want to see any sort of sustained price action back below these highs. We can come down here for a retest. We can come down here for a little bit of a dip, but then you want to see it move away. If we fall back into this prior range here, then this starts to look like a deviation. Then it starts to look not as exciting. If this is really bullish, it should not pull back super deep. It should not spend too much time below that previous range high. If this is really bullish, right? Ideally, when we have a big long consolidation and we break out, we want to see it continue to rip. We don't really want to see it sputter back into the range because that then opens the door for a potential deviation. If this is strong, there shouldn't be a lot of time for you to get on board, right? Like if this is a strong breakout, we shouldn't expect it's going to give you that perfect deep retest that you want. It might, but ideally, if you're looking for strength, you want to see this continue to be strong, continue to trade up. Yes, it can consolidate. Yes, it can pull back a little, but you don't really want to see it fall back into this old range if this is a very strong move. I want to see a move away. I want to see continued pressure to the upside, not giving late bulls, chances to pile in, right? Make them chase at higher prices. You want to leave those, just like here, right? When we had this big breakout. Where's the example I'm looking at here? Like this breakout here, right? We consolidated, broke out, never really gave a retest, consolidated, broke out, didn't really give that deep pullback. I'm sure a lot of people, when this happened, when this move happened, right? They wanted to long down here, right? They want to long back here. That's what a lot of people probably wanted, right? So we'll see. You want to see sustained strength here by the bulls, obviously. Again, still in this range, watching this for a sweep. If it sweeps, be cautious, right? But if it starts trading back in this range here, in this consolidation, that's not ideal. We want to see this just continue to push higher. I want to see this attack these highs over here on the left. So we'll wait and see. Again, like I think funding, funding is still negative, right? So shorts are paying longs still, which is crazy because we just made yearly highs and shorts are paying longs. So funding's been pretty telling lately, right? Where it's like, hey, we're at the range lows and, you know, funding is super negative still, or we're at the range highs and funding is still, like, shorts are getting horny at the exchange, at the extremes of the range, basically, right? So you're paying to be short here, right? So a pump that happens on negative funding generally is more sustainable, right? Because that means it's more led generally by spot than it is by derivatives, right? If funding was hugely positive up here, that means there's a lot of late longs who are longing with leverage at the range high, right? Now, I know some people are going to look at the Binance fund or whatever. So I was talking to Rookie earlier because there's this one address that, you know, Binance had loaded a bunch of money into, and they were just T-wopping that into the market, right? Just continuously buying. And that's why most of this run was spot led, was because there was just consistent buying from Binance the entire way. That fund or that address is now at 0. So I'm like, oh, maybe this is something to consider. This address is at 0. Is the spot buying going to persist? But Rookie brought up a good point. He's like, how do we know that that is the only money that they were using to buy, right? Everyone was looking at this same address, assuming that that was all the money. We don't actually know. We have no idea what Binance is doing. So that's not really a metric I would look at, being like, oh, Binance is no longer buying and now we got to be bearish. As you guys know, I don't look at any of that stuff. I don't look at the volume. I don't look at order flow. I don't even really look at funding. I don't look at heat maps. I don't look at indicators. I literally do nothing. I don't do nothing. I only look at price action. And how I explained this breakdown here from the weekly chart right down to the hourly chart, and how I gave you the setup, stop, entry, target, that's exactly what I do to trade. It's exactly how I trade, and I'll show you on Ethereum because we long. It's the same thing. I don't use any of that other stuff. I'm not saying that that stuff is not useful. I know lots of traders who use volume and use heat maps and use points of control and all sorts of stuff, auction theory, and they do it well. Maybe they use Ichimoku Cloud. You look at a guy like CBS. He uses divergences on RSI and the Awesome Oscillator. You look at a guy like Zoran, who's using Ichimoku clouds and other things, right? And they're looking at liquidation levels and all. And these guys are making money and they're profitable, right? And then there's people like myself or Trader SZ who just are simply looking at the chart, nothing else. And we're also making money. So there's lots of ways you can do this. I think a very common trope in crypto is people being like, well, my way is the only way that works, right? How can this be right if you're not looking at volume? You're not looking at this. You're not looking at this. That's just not how I trade. I purely look at the chart. I'm mechanical in my process in terms of what I'm looking for. It's very cut and dry for the most part. And I just stick with it and you just trust the plan. All sorts of shit could have happened here that you can use to frame this move. Oh, it went up because of this. It went up because of that. You trust the system, you take the trades that the system provides, and that's all you really need. I don't consider myself like some fucking genius, like a lot of people I think on crypto Twitter think they are. They're not, but let them think it. And I don't try and overcomplicate or make what I do sound more complex than it is, because it's not that complex. I always say this, the TA part of trading is the easy part, right? Marking up the chart is easy. Managing risk, managing emotions, managing the trade, the waiting, patience, the psychological aspects, that's the hard stuff. That's the stuff that you can't really teach, that you just gain by doing and doing for a long time. You're never gonna become a successful trader until you start actually taking your own trades and realizing that, holy shit, this is a whole lot different when money's on the line, right? All of a sudden, I'm scared of getting stopped out because I don't want to lose money, or price goes up and you get euphoric and you don't want to close because you think it's going to keep going. That stuff is experiential, right? You can only learn that stuff by doing, and that stuff is something that's the hard part, in my opinion, of trading. It's not the drawing the lines on the charts. That's easy. That's why there's 100,000 fucking TA gurus on Twitter, right? 'Cause it's not very hard to mark up the chart and make it look like you knew exactly what was going to happen. And I made a post about this too. I'm like, as much as people want to shit on, certain people online for maybe being wrong or having a bias, at least they have one and they're sharing it publicly. A lot of the people talking shit aren't sharing anything publicly. And I have more respect for someone who shares their bias, even though I might disagree or they might get it wrong, than I do for someone who just talks a bunch of shit but provides no value, or at least is not even straightforward with their analysis, right? More respect for the guy who's at least sharing something. I know Zoran's getting blasted a little bit. I know for a fact Zoran makes tons of money and has tons of money and is traded very well. Some of you just haven't been around that long. This guy crushed it back in the day. But he was like, I'm short. And here, I know why I'm short. My system says short, so I'm short. And he happened to be wrong. So fucking what, right? At least he had a bias. At least he stuck with it. At least he put his money where his mouth is, right? So I have more respect for someone who's willing to actually put their neck out there and, be okay being wrong. I say this to you guys all the time. I'm wrong 50% of the time, right? Who cares? If your risk reward's 2-1, 3-1, you're making money. So the only thing that really matters is your P&L at the end of the day. What you post on Twitter, what other people post on Twitter. If you posted a long on Twitter and it went to target, but you didn't actually trade it, did you really win? You might collect some Twitter clout tokens, and take it from me, I'm a clout goblin, but those don't pay the bills. Your landlord doesn't accept Twitter clout. Dollars. You need to be making dollars at the end of the day. And that's why this is a solo sport, right? You can have friends that you talk to and Discords that you're in. It doesn't matter if you're not actually making money. None of it fucking matters, right? All that matters is your P&L. Is that bullish or bearish? Is your P&L going up? Keep doing what you're doing. Is it going down? Okay, maybe you got to rework some things. Don't let the Twitter noise and the hype and you missed out on the bottom, you shorted the bottom, you longed the top, and all the emotional bullshit cloud you, right? Twitter, in a large sense, is marketing, right? Yes, it's dopamine for some people. They need to scratch that dopamine itch. But for a lot of people, maybe they're selling a service. Maybe they're trying to get you to buy into their group. Maybe they are trying to just grow their audience because there's tons of money that can be made through affiliate marketing, through sponsorships and things like that. And I'm not saying any of those things are wrong, right? I have no issue with paid groups. I used to have a paid group. I have no issues with people having exchange partners. I have no issue with people doing ads or using ref links. Get your bag, right? Get your bag however you can. As long as you're not purposely stealing from people or you have malintent and you're trying to fuck people over, I don't care how you get your bag. I really don't. And I think more people would have more money and would be a lot less angry if they were more focused on making themselves money instead of worrying about how everyone else is making money. But my point is, you have to keep that in mind, right? Is there an ulterior motive? Is there a reason someone on Twitter might want to appear to never be wrong? Right? Look at Capo's engagement. It's insane, right? If he's got a ref link, I'm sure he's printing. Because even though his tweets, some people are like, oh, he's been bearish since the bottom. People are always talking about him. His tweets get crazy engagement. He can make money. He can monetize from that, right? So you have to keep in mind what people's motives may be, because at the end of the day, the only person who has your best interests in mind and the only person whose opinion matters is your own. Are you making money? Yes or no? Right? Could I delete Twitter tomorrow and still go about my life and trade? Yes. Right? It's an add-on for me. Yes, it's nice. I make money from having a large Twitter account. I don't try and hide that. You guys see, I do ads and things like that. Why wouldn't I? I've built this audience. Why not monetize it in some way? Right? But at the end of the day, I'm honest with you guys about if I'm getting paid on something. I obviously let you know, but I'm also honest about my trades. I don't care if I get shit wrong, because I think that as much as my stuff might not be as flashy as some other stuff you see on there, at least it's consistent. I post my wins and my losses. None of it gets deleted. So that rant's over. Keep that in mind. Keep that in mind when you're, on Twitter and you're seeing people gloat about being long or being short or whatever. You were right, I was wrong, or I was right, you were wrong. Most people aren't actually trading. All that really matters is, what are you doing? Are you making money? That's it. That's the only thing that matters. Okay? Mayne, have you ever used a funded account? Yes. I've passed several challenges. I have, I think, still 2 FTMO accounts that I have active. I don't use it as much now because I've built up personal capital, but I genuinely think prop firms are a great way for people to accelerate their ability to earn income. Because if you think you're starting to get the hang of trading, but you only got $5,000, right? Yeah, you can grow a $5,000 account. Absolutely. If you know what you're doing and you can consistently win, absolutely. But if you can spend $500 and get access to a $50,000 account, yeah, there's a profit split and there's some rules involved. Why not? I don't think you should rely on a prop firm as your only source of income, but I think prop firms are a great way to build up your personal stack, do those challenges, earn more money on a larger account, and then use that to fund your own personal account and then start trading that when the time is right. But yeah, I think prop firms are great. I don't understand. Some people hate on them and stuff. I'm like, I think they're awesome. Yeah, there's risk rules. There should be. You're trading someone else's money. Of course, there has to be rules. But if you use smart risk management, you shouldn't really worry about the risk rules anyways. Are you going to go into 10% drawdown? You probably shouldn't, right? But yeah, I've used prop firm accounts before. I care about the Aussies, Michael. Come on now. My best friend just moved to Australia. How does one join TG? It's my pinned tweet. The top tweet on my profile is the Telegram link. Yo, bro, quick questions. Do you use Polytrends? No, I do not. You were quite decisive to short. I don't really know what you mean. Yeah, I thought price was going to go down, so I shorted. That's how it works. And then it started going up, so I longed. That's trading, bro. I love you guys. You guys are learning. This guy says, how do I identify a bear order block? And the next 2 comments are, watch the OB video. Thank you. Doing my job for me. Mayne, learning from you a lot. Thanks for everything. Just kindly reminder when MS video. If you're in Telegram, you know I posted an update about that. So it is something I'm working on. Hopefully this month it will be out. Jackson, how does one join Discord in the US? Can't sign up for Prime? You can DM me. You can use one of my other links, Bybit or wherever you want to trade. But you can DM me on Twitter. We can work it out. What is the address on Telegram? Just go to my Twitter, guys. It is the pinned tweet. It's the top tweet on my page. Dollar and BTC ran up today, normally opposite. So yeah, so generally there's an inverse correlation between the two, but it's not always one-to-one, right? There's going to be periods of time where the dollar goes up and Bitcoin goes up. There'll be periods of time where Bitcoin goes up and the dollar goes down, or the dollar goes up and Bitcoin goes down. Generally, they're inversely correlated because the dollar is the denominator of the Bitcoin chart, right? So generally, look here, right? Where's the dollar topped? March 7th, 2023. Look what happened here. Bitcoin ripped. Oh, we're on way different charts. That's why it looks so crazy. Here we go. Right? Here's the dollar topping. And look what happened to Bitcoin. Bitcoin's ripping while the dollar's dumping, right? Inversely correlated. It's not going to be one-to-one every single day, right? But on the high time frame and over in terms of just general trends, the dollar going up is generally not good for crypto. Look at this entire dollar rally here. From 84, 88 up to 115. This is your bear market in crypto, right? Look at the dollar trending up. Trending up, look at Bitcoin. Trending down, trending down, trending down, trending down. Look at what happens when the dollar when Bitcoin bottoms out, right? Then the dollar tops out. Bitcoin goes up again. So the correlation is there, right? It's not always going to be one-to-one. It's not always going to be the exact same. It's not always going to be, hey, dollar's up, therefore Bitcoin has to be down, right? What's good, Drew? Been snagging some sick trades. Good for you, man. How do you screen coins for futures trading? I go through them on the high time frame and I look to see if they're at areas of interest, right? So if I'm going through a list of coins, I'm going to probably start on the weekly and then go down to the daily and the 12-hour and say, are these at areas of interest for me? Order blocks, SR, breakers, FVGs. Is this an area where I think price might get a reaction? And can I frame a trade around it? Okay. Yeah, I stream on YouTube and Twitch. Uguk says, Mayne, I'm trading and losing money. Well, that sucks, bro. Try not being bad. Try making money instead. It's way better. Okay, cool. So let's look at Ethereum now. Okay, so Ethereum, I thought, and again, if you follow me on Twitter or Telegram, I thought Ethereum was a lot clearer in its bias, right? And I posted about this and we talked about this in last stream. I said, this is a lot cleaner to me. We have a very clear bullish range on Ethereum. I'm like, this looks way cleaner than Bitcoin. Bitcoin was a little bit tricky because it was kind of more like this. Ethereum, we have a very clear low, brand new, fresh high here. So you have a clear 12-hour range here on Ethereum that was much cleaner. So the setup on Ethereum to me was more obvious. We had our clear range We have our high time frame order block here. We got an H12 SFP and an hourly SFP, and then I ended up entering on the hourly on a breaker. So the Ethereum setup was just cleaner. It just looked better to me. That's why I took it. You'll see here on the right that Bitcoin is up more than Ethereum. What does that mean? It means Ethereum BTC is going down. As you can see, we had this range drawn out, came right to the mid-range and is nuking. So Bitcoin is still the stronger of the two assets. So I had a lot of people ask me, why do you long Ethereum instead of BTC, right? Why would you long this one? There's always going to be an asset that outperforms the asset that you chose to long. So if everything goes up, let's say every single coin went up today, right? The one you pick, it's very unlikely that the one you pick is the absolute top gainer. Maybe it's a better gainer than most, right? Maybe it's in the top 10%, but there's always going to be a stronger coin, a coin that rallied harder. Bitcoin went up 3%. Well, this went up 7%, right? Ethereum went up 2%. Well, Bitcoin went up 4%. So having that attitude of like, well, I fucked up because yes, you want to try and find the high beta play, of course, right? So looking at Ethereum BTC, rejecting at the mid-range, good chance that if everything breaks up, Ethereum's going to underperform Bitcoin. That's part of it. But the other part of it is, where is the trade more obvious to you, right? Where is the trade more obvious to you? And if the chart on Ethereum is cleaner, you can just see the setup form better, the risk reward makes more sense for you, yada, yada, yada. That's going to be the trade, in my opinion, that you should take. So for me, yes, I always try and find the higher beta play, but sometimes one chart just speaks to me more clearly than the other chart. And that's why I'm taking the trade on that chart. I just see the trade more cleanly. So that's exactly why I took this long on Ethereum. This range was obviously bullish. The demand area was clear. H12 SFP right into that high time frame demand, into the discount of the range, right? Right into the discount of the range, into the sweet spot. It just made more sense to me. It was more clear. So that's why I took Ethereum. Okay, so 12-hour, low to high, order block, SFP. We zoomed in on the hourly, and I took this as a hedge simply because I was short Bitcoin, and I said, listen, I'm short Bitcoin, and I wanted to see how things opened. And when I woke up initially, stocks were down and the dollar was up, and I was like, okay, maybe Bitcoin rolls over. Went back to bed, woke up again. Dollar was still up, but stocks had bounced back and Bitcoin was breaking out. So I knew that if we were going to go up, I wanted to have some long exposure. So I hedged my Bitcoin short by longing Ethereum, right? And now I've been stopped out of my short, but I have a long entry on Ethereum from like 1850. Right? So yeah, I lost money on the short, but I hedged some of that loss by being long on Ethereum. So the setup was pretty straightforward, right? 12-hour range. Here's your 12-hour SFP. Here's an H1 breaker. We also had an H1 SFP right here. Okay. Multiple pieces of confluence. I ended up putting my stop super loose. I gave you guys the exact setup. Entry here, stop here, target here. Could you have had your stop below the breaker? Sure, but look what happened here. That could have wicked you out. If your stop was directly below the low of the breaker, you got stopped out, or probably stopped out here as well. If you didn't get stopped out there, you probably got stopped out there. So I personally have been, especially in crypto, stopped out a ton by having a super tight stop below a breaker or an order block. So usually if I'm going to put it below the breaker or the order block, I'll leave a little bit of wiggle room for instances like this, or I'll use that stop run candle. I probably could have had my stop even a little tighter at this H1 raid here, because the breaker, yeah, like we can come through here, bang, we can trade a little bit below and it's still a valid breaker, right? Same with an OB. We can have wicks below and it's still valid. Really what you want to watch is where the candle's closing. And the candles are closing within the zone still. But sometimes you get wicked out. I find this to happen more in crypto than in other places. So I could have probably had my stop here, but I had my stop loose. And this is extremely safe in my opinion. Why? Because my idea is 100% wrong if we go below here. There's no way that I'm right. Whereas below here, I still think I could have been right, right? So where's your idea wrong? That's where your invalidation needs to go. This was a high time frame sweep into that high time frame demand, all those other pieces of confluence we talked about, the bullish range, etc. It's wrong below here. 100% we are wrong below here. Okay? So that's why I put my stop there. And you can see this is now looking okay. Again, yes, this is lagging Bitcoin. Ethereum BTC looks like shit, right? So I talked about this price swing here from here to here. I said we're due for a bit of a retrace. We retraced right into the 50%, and now we're eating massive shit. That's why you're seeing Bitcoin up, almost twice what Ethereum is today. This chart right here. I don't care though, because if I can get my 3R trade out of here, a 3R trade on Ethereum is worth just as much as a 3R trade on Bitcoin, because your R is the same amount. And the Ethereum setup was just cleaner. So my Ethereum trade is here. Again, I literally posted the full setup in Telegram. Stop, entry, target. There was no ambiguity. I posted it with the risk reward tool. So can't do much more than that. Initial target is going to be this market structure high here. Would likely take some off on a move above this high. And similar to Bitcoin, right? We want to see this move continue. If we break out, I want to see this continued. I want to see continued strength. If we come up here and we just sweep up here and then break back inside, that will give me cause to potentially close the rest of my trade or, look for shorts, etc. But I want to see strength, right? You want to see strength. If this is a legit breakout, which it appears to be, we don't want to see a ton of, dips. I don't really want to see people get an opportunity to long back down here. I would much rather see us come back in and then nuke. I don't really want us to come back in here if we're going to continue to go higher. The only reason to start trading back below kind of 28,800 and these previous highs here, only reason to start trading below here again, I think, is if this was just a deviation and we're actually going to then trade down. Otherwise, I want to just see continued strength. So the Ethereum trade, just explained it there. Again, you can see my entire thought process in Telegram. I laid it all out in Telegram there. Stop, entry, target, my reasoning, discussed hedging. There's a ton of alpha in that Telegram. If you're not in that Telegram, you want to be in that Telegram. And if you want to talk to me or other traders who have learned to trade, maybe not necessarily just from me, but they've learned from me and like how I trade and trade how I trade, price action focused, you want to get in the Discord. Because there's a huge community of guys, and maybe some girls in there, I doubt it, but you never know, who are all people who watch my videos and study PA trading and trade similarly, and they're sharing ideas and they're helping each other out. So even when I'm not in there, and I'm trying to be in there when I can, they are in there. And they are helping each other. They're trading. There's a wins channel where everyone's sharing the stuff that they've, trades that they've won, and it's always popping. So people are learning and applying it. So that's a good community. If you want to be in there, tradermayne.com has instructions how to join. It is free. Learning loads from you as ZNXO. Good. I'm glad, bro. Frank, appreciate you, Mayne. You've been pretty helpful in my journey to learning TA. Thank you, bro. Mayne the man. No, you're the man, bro. CPI Wednesday is correct. Please show FTA. I just did. I don't think you know how to trade. You should learn a thing or two from Sato. That guy has unlimited money, so I would definitely love to learn how he could get liquidated so many times for hundreds of thousands of dollars and never go broke. Would love to figure that out. Mayne, do you have a compounding strategy? Yes. Not something I do a ton of. I'm not really like, I know some guys who are absolute beasts at compounding. I'm more like enter the trade, set it, forget it. Should I watch old videos to learn stuff properly? Yes, there's tons of value in my old videos. Just because the price action is stale, it does not mean that there's not good stuff in there. See how I just did a ton of educating and shared a bunch of alpha and tips and tricks? I do that every stream. So just because the price action isn't relevant, it doesn't mean that the information is not relevant, right? One of my friends paid $1,500 for a guru whose whole strategy is based on stochastic RSI. What a scam. Yeah, I mean, listen, I don't know anything about stochastic RSI. I know people can make money using it if they use it properly, but yeah, it sounds like your buddy might have got rinsed. I made $500K yesterday because of a bug on a prop form, but they refused to pay me out. They shouldn't pay you out. You just said that it was a bug. It was an exploit. It was an issue. Why would they pay you for something that isn't legit? And I'm pretty confident if you go into the terms and conditions of that prop firm, there's rules and reasons around payouts. And, you know, for example, some prop firms have rules around certain trading strategies because there are people who try and game the system and take advantage of the system. And yeah, I mean, if it's a bug, you didn't make $500K, a bug happened. I don't think you're entitled to that money. I think that'd be kind of crazy. Whoopsies, a bug happened. Here's $500,000. That's nuts. What markets do you trade for the prop firms? So most prop firms, you can trade all markets, right? Forex, commodities, equities, and crypto. Certain prop firms have better spreads than others, and fees and commissions and things like that. So you're going to want to dig into that. You're going to want to say, and they should all be transparent. What are the fees? What are the commissions? Can I hold trades overnight, over the weekend? Because there are rules with prop firms where that is an issue. Some prop firms won't let you hold a trade over a weekend. So by Friday, market close, you have to close all your trades or they'll do it for you, right? So is that going to work for you? I don't know. Is algo trading a profitable thing? I have no idea what you mean by that. Have I cut the ETH long? Why would I have cut it? Love your stuff, Mayne. Learned so much from you. Thanks, bro. What's up, FUD expert? Where are you thinking of going long, bro? I'm in a long already. You guys not even watching? Sometimes I read these questions. I'm like, are you even watching the video? Has anyone ever told you that you sound like Steve Rinella of crypto? I've never heard the word or the name Steve Rinella before, so I'll have to look him up. Do you still have a Discord group? Yes, I do. Martin, just DM me again. Follow up with me. I get a ton of DMs, so they get lost in the mix very easily, so just follow up with me. What is your gym regime and what is your PR? You got to have ask me more information than that. Like PR in what? What lift? Can I find a girlfriend in your Discord? Probably not. We're still below 30K. So right now you'd be looking for a boyfriend. Come on. You know the rules. This guy says, "See." Just want to say I'm a big fan of your train tutorials. They help me a lot. Glad to hear. Mashallah, we are pumping. Inshallah, mashallah, brother. He gets rebates from Bybit. Yes, I have a ref link, bro. That's how it works. If you use my ref link and you trade on my ref link, I get a kickback. That is 100% how it works. Hi, Mayne. I was BBQing today for lunch and my BBQ seemed low, so I squirted some gasoline to heat it up. I ended up burning my eyebrows off. How long will it take for them to grow back? Gosh. I'm going to say, and this is based on no science or biological knowledge, 1 to 3 months. I don't know. Do eyebrows grow slow? I don't know. I kind of got bushy eyebrows. Yeah, ask Gainsey, says. Gainsey's got some eyebrows to spare for sure. That is hilarious. What leverage do you usually use? Hate that question. Leverage is irrelevant. You should know that by now if you watch my videos. Another question about leverage. Leverage is irrelevant, guys. All that matters is the right question is, what is your risk or position sizing? Right? That's the right question, not leverage. Leverage is irrelevant. I could use 100x, 10x, does not matter because the position size between each trade will be different. Leverage just determines how much margin you have to put up to open the position. It has no bearing on the actual sizing of your position. The right question is, how do you do your position sizing? I risk between 1 and 5% on any trade. So if I have a $100,000 account and I want to risk 2% on a trade, that means on stop out, I only want to lose $2,000. So I will use the calculator or the formula to say, okay, based on my entry being here and my stop being here, how big can my position be so that if I get stopped out, I only lose $2,000? Leverage is not part of the equation at all. It could be on 100x, it could be on 10x, it doesn't matter. My position size is what determines how much I lose when I'm wrong, and then obviously how much I would make if I'm right. That's the right question to ask. Do prop firms allow spot trading crypto? No, because no. How would that make sense? Right? You're trading someone else's money. It's not you can't just buy Bitcoin with prop firm money and withdraw it, right? It's all margin trading, right? Oh yeah, no, Sato does get kickbacks from Bybit. I'm sure he must be getting crazy kickbacks because he's getting liquidated all the fucking time. I think he just got liquidated today, didn't he? I suppose you use 5% on BTC and ETH only. I use 5% when I'm really confident in the setup and all of the things are pointed in my direction, right? If I'm like, this is an A+ setup, I'll be willing to risk 5%. Do I think FX is harder to trade than crypto? No, I actually think FX trades cleaner than crypto and more easily than crypto. But when crypto is moving, it is much more volatile and it runs way harder and it trends way harder. So I think it's the best market to make money in. But I think FX trades pretty fucking clean. Do you risk more on swing trades? I would say yes, on average. Like, again, a high confidence trade for me is generally a swing trade. So if I'm taking a trade based on the weekly and the daily or the weekly and the 12-hour, I'm willing to probably risk a little more. But I have kind of like a grading system for my setups. I have my checklist. And then if all of the boxes are ticks, it's a trade I'm willing to take. But there's certain nuances within that where a setup can be an A setup or a B setup. And, an A setup, I'm willing to risk a little bit more on. Would you ever consider trading on Suzu and Kyle's OpenX exchange and trade with your XDF claim as margin? I've thought about it. I'm torn because part of me is like, I do not want to support those fucking frauds and those criminals. The fact that they're back on Twitter tweeting as if nothing's happened, thinking that people are just going to come and start trading on their exchange is crazy to me. But I blame the fucking community just as much because people are interacting and liking their tweets and shit. Like, we should ice these fuckers out. They're still not cooperating with creditors for the 3AC blow up. A lot of the reason things like FTX and shit went down was largely in part due to these guys. So fuck them. Don't really want to support them at all. And I hate that they're trying to make their way back in the space. It pisses me off while they're hiding in Dubai because they're criminals and they should be treated as such. But at the same time, that's a lot of money that I could be using to potentially trade up into money I can actually withdraw. So I don't know. I haven't really decided. Okay, let's take a look at the dollar here real quick. So the dollar got to move up, right? So we're trading within this range here. Okay, ran the high. Then we came back down to the low, right? And now we're moving up again. And we had this weekly order block here, right? Now we've had a weekly SFP. So my idea effectively was like, hey, I think that we might go up due to this weekly order block and this high time frame SFP. So that was kind of my thesis for the dollar potentially catching a bid and potentially, bouncing. Now, what we need to see is the dollar needs to continue to show strength here and probably clear this high, right? Like this would be the range that I'm looking at. And I would want to see the dollar get above 103. And if that happens, I think there's a good chance we rally towards 105 and we get a pullback in equities, crypto, etc. But the looming downside target for the dollar, right, is February's low here. So we have February's low here. And it kind of looks like it wants to run this before bouncing. So we could see run of this and then a buy up, or maybe we just go up from here. I don't know. A little bit tricky. Again, it went up today and so did Bitcoin and so did equities. So that kind of, synchronicity is not there right now in terms of their inverse correlation. But we ran out March's low, put in a bullish SFP on the weekly, and we're pushing up. So I want to see how the next couple of days unfold on the dollar. We also have CPI coming in, but above 103, I think we trade to 105. Okay. If we fail to break above the mid-range here, I think we then go down and take out February's low. So if we do something like this, and this would be confluent with Bitcoin making another leg up into the 30,000s. Did 3AC just lose their own money? No. No, they didn't. They lost lots of people's money. What's the spat between Kyle Davis and Arthur Hayes? Arthur Hayes is calling him on his shit. He's saying, hey, Arthur Hayes invested in 3AC. He wants his money back. What's the max number of trades you have running? So it's not about number of trades. It's amount of risk you have on the table at any given time. This is a really good question. So let's say you have 10 trades. Let's say your maximum risk that you want to have out on the market at any given time is 5%. So let's say your trading account is 100 grand. Okay. You don't want to risk more than 5%. That's your risk number. That's 5K, right? If you have 5 1% trade open, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So you have 5 1% trade opened. If all of these get stopped out, you lose 5 grand. So in this instance, you could have 5 trades running. And a mistake a lot of people make and how they blow up their account is they go, okay, well, my risk, I'm going to risk 2% per trade. Okay. But then they open 5 trades, each trade with 2% risk. Well, guess what? What happens if you're in 5 separate longs, each with 2% risk, and the market nukes and you get stopped out on all of them? You've just lost 10%, right? So it's not about the number of trades. You could have one, if you want to lose 5% max, right? If you want to lose 5% max, you could have one trade with 5% risk on. You could have 5 trades with 1% risk on. You could have 10 trades with 0.5% risk on. So it's not about the number of trades. It's how much money do you want to have at risk at any given time. So when I say I'm risking between 1 and 5%, that's of my account, right? That's of that trading account. That's not per trade. Maybe that's one trade. Maybe it's 2 trades. Because if you say, hey, I want to risk 5%, but then you open 5 trades, each with a risk of 5%, right? You're at risk of losing 25% of your account. You have to remember, the crypto market is very highly correlated. So if you have a bunch of longs open on Bitcoin, Ethereum, and a bunch of shit coins, if Bitcoin nukes, there's a very good chance that everything else nukes as well, right? So if you have all these trades open, and yeah, you're like, well, I'm only risking 2% on that trade. Well, yeah, but if you have 10 trades open at once at 2% risk each, really you have 20% at risk, right? So that's a good question. So it's not about the number of trades. It's not the number of trades. It's how much risk do you have on the table at any given time? And is that an amount you're comfortable with? I don't know what happened to my Bitcoin lines. Please come back. Please. Oh my God, we're fucked, aren't we? They're gone. Oh, there we go. Ooh. Wait, what the fuck is all this? I don't know what the fuck all that was. Okay. So hopefully that answers your question, but that is a very good question, and that's something you have to think about, right? I know a lot of people who have fucked themselves over because they've had... What is all this shit? These are not my drawings, man. These are not them. I'm just going to start fresh. Who have fucked themselves over because they have too many trades on at one time, right? Too many trades on at any given time. Sorry, I'm just redoing this chart because OCD. Can I have no border? I want a border. All right. So we've looked at Bitcoin. We've looked at Ethereum. We looked at Ethereum BTC. We looked at the dollar. Let's take a look at equities. So I'm still like flabbergasted by this move. Honestly, to me, this shit should nuke. There's nothing going on economically that justifies us going up right now in stocks. I think maybe just the brief relief that we received in terms of rate hikes with the whole banking fiasco that happened over the last several weeks maybe inspired some hope and some bullishness in the market, but they're going to raise rates again. They're not stopping. Inflation is still out of control. The economy is still largely in the shitter. So I don't understand why this is going up. And I've been thinking that this is going to roll over for some time now, and it just keeps pushing. And then we kind of came up into resistance here. We dumped off. I'm like, hey, maybe now. And then boom, V reversal. So maybe this wants to push a little higher. Okay, I'm going to just delete this. I'm conceding. That's when you know you've gotten something wrong or your analysis is incorrect, is when you delete all the lines. That's how you know. You delete all the lines, you concede. All right, you fucking got me. You fucking got me, you fuckers. We got this to this. So right now, I would argue that this is our 12-hour range. Okay. We're trading in the upper part. So what does that mean? I can't really justify a long up here based on how I trade. I would need to see us trade down here if I wanted to get long. But maybe this just continues to push. Maybe this wants to do like a quadruple top or a triple top up here. Maybe it wants to run, you know, these highs here. I don't know. But I think ultimately this resolves in a move down. Regardless of how high it goes, I think ultimately this trades down. And I'm still of the belief that we trade back down to here. Could I be wrong? And could the bottom be in? Maybe. And if that's the case, that's the case. So what? Right? I'll move on. But I can't really justify a long up here. And I just don't buy this. I just don't buy this fucking move for a second. I do think that this is due for a correction. We're still within this large, you know, kind of weekly trend right here. Right? So we're still within this weekly trend. And we've ran the highs. I still think that this needs to trade lower. But I could be wrong. Anything could happen. But I just don't fucking buy it. And that's part of the reason why I was hoping for Bitcoin to pull back to, you know, here. I still would buy down here if we came down here, right? This weekly breaker, 25.2 and a little bit below here. I would still love to buy down here, and stocks would need to eat shit and dollar would need to pump for that to happen. But that might not happen. We might just go up from here, and that's okay. This is what I mean, right? Like a strong trend, leg up, consolidate, leg up, consolidate, leg up, right? It doesn't give you that deep retracement that you want to get in line for the next long always. Sometimes it does. Like here, it gave you a pretty deep retracement, but it happened very quick and it was bought up immediately. Maybe something similar happens here. Quick wick down and then goes up again. I don't know, or it could just go sideways and just go from here. This is the sideways, and now it's just going to leg up again, and everyone who was waiting with bids down here never get filled. But I was hoping that this was going to roll over down there so I could obviously long. And I was hoping that this would roll over as well, but it just isn't doing that right now. So we'll wait and see. I don't really have a super clear bias. I cannot long here. I don't really have a long signal. You could argue that this is an SFP on the 12-hour, but I don't really have a long signal here because we're within the upper part of this range. So I don't really want to long here. I'd have to wait till it comes lower or wait for it to break out and then find the next range to play in. But we're still within this larger weekly bearish range, this high to here, and we're at the upper part of it. So I personally can't really long up here. It's just not within my rules and my system. Doesn't mean that we can't go up from here. We absolutely can. But if we go up from here, I won't be in. But then if we put in a new range, then I can look to long some sort of dip on that range, right? You can mark out your range and you say, okay, I'm going to long in the lower part of the range. And it just never comes down there. Sometimes that happens. You're not always going to get that deep retest for you to get involved and then for the move to happen. So you got to be prepared to miss the move. That's going to happen a lot, and it's okay. All right, so ES, I still think is bullshit and a scam, and it can go fuck itself. But it's failing to sell off here, right? So it's failing to sell off. Took out Friday's low, reclaimed, we're pushing up. So we'll have to see how the next few days come. We have CPI on Wednesday, so there could be some fuckery. But yeah, I don't really have a good view on this. To me, just looking at this on the hourly, this needs to correct. Doesn't mean it will. It can the markets can stay irrational longer than you can stay solvent, right? So just because I think it needs to correct doesn't mean it has to, and doesn't mean I should just short and hope it dumps, because it can keep going up. So I don't have the best view on this, but yeah, we'll have to wait and see. Oh, goodness. This guy says, stop LARPing. You know nothing of the economy, boy. I do know how to block you from the channel forever. That was easy. I have learned the basics about TA from Cred and Duck, but you took my learning to new highs. Your way makes a lot of sense. I'm glad to hear, bro. Are you waiting for BTC to test 28.8 to long? Not necessarily. I don't have a long setup here. Like, the long was here. You missed it already. If you didn't long down here, you missed the fucking long. Gotta wait for the next trade. Need a new range to form. Need new price action to look at. I don't have a trade here. Mayne, do you play chess? Not anymore. I used to be in like chess club and stuff back in school. I have not played chess in ages, and I imagine I would get fucking smoked if I tried. Look, here we go. On cue. This is what you want to see us close like, right? I do not want to see us close below this high. So this is a nice little push. What's your thoughts on Sailor owning too much Bitcoin? Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, part of me is like, I can't remember the number. Was it 1 in 5 or 1 in 15 or something? But like every 1 in X Bitcoin is owned by him. I think in general, that's not a good thing, right? For one person to own that much of the supply. That being said, I do think it's, you know, if someone is going to own it, you think you'd like it to be a guy who's probably never going to sell it, right? And Sailor's kind of proven that he's never selling. So I don't know, maybe that's a good thing. But yeah, that's a good question. I don't really have a good opinion on that. It's like if I wanted one person to own a bunch of the supply, it'd probably be the most delusional bull out there who's never going to sell. I mean, this guy held a multi-billion-dollar profit all the way from being up billions of dollars back to like negative, and did not sell, did not waver, right? So talk about diamond hands. He's the one. But at the same time, it's like, I thought we're supposed to be decentralized, right? This is supposed to be money for the people, and to have one person own a shit ton of it kind of is counterintuitive. Yeah, I mean, we're getting pretty 1 in 150. There you go. That's the number. But that's still insane, right? For how many Bitcoins there are, for every 1 in 150 is owned by him is kind of nuts. Yeah, so we will have Monday's range here forming, right? There's your Monday low. We do not have Monday's high yet, but once we close, we'll get Monday's high, right? And then you'll have a new range that you can work in. If you're looking for some sort of trade, you can use Monday's range. So this will not confirm for another 2 hours. Once Monday's range closes, you can then maybe say, hey, maybe we sweep Monday's high and then pull back. I don't know. But yeah, Monday's range is something I use and I've shared with you guys lots. Thoughts on Wazis? I have no opinion. You mean like the NFT? Is there an NFT of Wazis? I don't really know. I'm not super plugged in that space. Do you think the dollar will collapse? I mean, I don't think what's happening with the dollar is good. Like, I think overall, having all of these countries basically say, hey, we don't need the US dollar anymore, and we want to start doing things without the US dollar as the global reserve currency, I think that's inherently bad, not just for the dollar, but for the world. As much as there might be a lot of, issues with the United States, and there is plenty. I mean, people are arguing over pronouns while the other major powers in the world are teaming up to, basically make the US not as relevant or not the superpower that it has been anymore. I do think that there's no perfect system, but the system where the US dollar is the reserve currency and they're the most powerful nation has been the most prosperous in terms of capitalism, people's ability to make money, get out of poverty, things like that, general good. Yeah, the US does a lot of bad shit, But I think we would be much worse off as a planet if China or Russia or a combination of the two and Iran or something like that were the global superpowers, right? I think that would be worse. That's just my opinion. I could be wrong, but what we've seen obviously over the last, handful of years is this decline in the West where we've got it so good. People have become so comfortable, that we're fighting about the stupidest shit because everyone's got people can get food and things like that. And there are jobs there. Whereas if you go to, poorer nations, they're not arguing about gender ideology, right? Because they're just worried about when they're going to eat next, or maybe they're at war, right? So it's that old saying, right? Hard times create strong men create good times create weak men create hard times. And it's that endless cycle. And it seems like we're in the latter part of that cycle where we have a lot of weak men creating that are going to create some very hard times. So I think on the whole, the US dollar not being the global reserve currency and the US not being a superpower is bad. I would rather the US be in charge, as imperfect as they are, than China be in charge, or Russia or something like that. Bing Chiling, exactly. I'm gonna have to learn Mandarin and start doing ad reads in Mandarin if things keep going like this. Let's see. So F hit almost on that spike, 2R on the Ethereum trade. If you would have taken some profit on that move, currently up about 1.5R. Nice little push. So let's see, right? If this candle closes here, we'll have a new bullish range to work in. And then we can start stocking new long entries, right? This actually looks really nice on Ethereum here. Look, see this? I posted this again in Telegram. I said we have a potential new 12-hour breaker forming on Ethereum. Breakout, ran the lows. So if Ethereum comes back into here, we're looking to buy for another leg up, right? The Ethereum chart is very clean, cleaner than me to Bitcoin. Bitcoin, if it breaks out here, will be a lot cleaner. But Ethereum, this is super clear to me. I just see it. As soon as I look at it, I'm like, oh, breaker here, ran the lows, we're back above. If we come and test the top side of this box, I'm looking for low time frame long entries. So I posted this yesterday when we were here. I said, this is a potential breaker. Now that we've had this candle, it is a breaker. So pullbacks are for buying. Dalio says the new world order is coming. Maybe. Maybe. Do you use log charts? No. My pronouns are profitable. Mine too. Mayne, if something has wicks, is it still called a breaker? I don't understand the question. What do you mean? What's up, Royale with cheese? Gucci Mane indeed. Mayne, did you tan or bleach your eyebrows? Something weird your face is looking. Thanks, dude. I think it's just because it's early in the day and it's very bright outside. And so the lighting is a little bit weird in here. Trump NFTs. I own a handful of them. I bought like $10,000 worth before he was indicted, and they're pumping. So we'll see. Ever thought of using a prop firm for more profits? I said that already in the stream. I think prop firms are a great way if you're undercapitalized to trade with more money and then use that money to build up your own personal funds. Can you use more than one candle for an order block? In one of your videos, you said it has to be the last bullish or bearish candle. Don't nitpick it too much, right? So for example, this is the bullish order block. Like technically, yeah, you could say this one candle here is the OB, but this entire down move is the order block, right? So sometimes it's going to be one candle. Sometimes it can be a few candles. Same thing with Ethereum here, right? This entire down move was the order block. Could you argue that it was only this candle? Sure, right? But for me, these consecutive candles here all in a row is the order block. And if you go to the daily, oh, it's only 2 candles. Go to the 3-day, oh, look, it's just one 3-day block. So generally when I'm combining candles like this, it's because it's likely a higher time frame order block that I'm visualizing, but this entire down move is really the order block. How do you select the target for the F breaker? I'm targeting the range high, right? I'm entering here. We ran the lows. Now I'm targeting the highs. Please no nuke. God, this would be savage if it just broke back within here now. Please don't. Please do not do that. Do you plan to buy Microsoft or Apple, bro? Just like the stocks? No. Hey, I'm having an issue with my neck being thinner than my head. Any tips? More deadlifts, more shoulder shrugs. Thoughts on this being an upward channel? BTC is now at the top of the diagonal range. The word diagonal is haram in these chats. We do not use diagonals. I don't know, man. I have nothing. I don't look at price like that. I'm a horizontal line guy, not a diagonal line guy. This guy says, why not compound the profits if you could trade with the 10 to 50x leverage? Leverage is irrelevant. And yeah, you can compound profits on the prop firm, but at the end of the day, the prop firm has rules. Can't always trade overnight. You can't always take trades into the weekend. There's strict rules on risk about how much drawdown you can go into. So if you're comfortable with that, by all means, go for it. But in my opinion, prop two firms are a means to an end. Meaning if you're undercapitalized, use a prop firm because you can do a challenge for $500 and get a 100K account to trade, and then use the money you're making on that 100K account to become your personal trading account where you keep 100% of the profits. There's no profit split and you make the rules, right? That's all I'm saying. What happened to the green screen you used to use? I still have a green screen. You can see it over there. And I still use it sometimes, but I kind of like how my office looks. So I like having some shit in the back. But if you would rather me go back to the green screen and be the floating head, let me know. Been looking hench recently. I don't know what that means. I'm going to assume it's a compliment. Thank you. Have you looked into Caspa? I don't know what that is. Anyone can tell me why BTC is pumping while DXY is pumping and why this wasn't a stop hunt for shorts? It could be. Again, I talked about this already early in the stream. Just because the dollar's going up, it doesn't mean Bitcoin has to go down. Long term and in terms of trend, and for the most part, they're inversely correlated. But there's going to be periods of time where that correlation is not 1-to-1. Have you seen F1 drivers' next exercises? Yes, I'd probably make a great F1 driver if I wasn't so tall and big. I didn't realize until I watched Drive to Survive that like all of these guys are fucking tiny. They're like horse jockeys, right? You can't have, I'm 6'2", 200 pounds. Like I'm too big for an F1 car. You want little dudes, just like a horse jockey, less weight. I can't remember what the math was, but like I think it was in Drive to Survive. And they're like, for every extra pound of, weight, they need this much extra gasoline, which weighs this much. And it's like, it's nuts. Do you only trade crypto or do you trade NQ and ES as well? I trade ES primarily, not as much NQ. It's my preferred instrument. But I don't really post about it. Like perfect example is I did a metals with Mayne video and you can see gold. If you watch that metals with Mayne video, it was packed with alpha. Gold was trading up here. I talked about us pulling back down to here and then me looking for reasons to get long, right? So this is very similar to Bitcoin actually. Notice how we broke out here. And now we're retesting here. So yeah, we can dip a little bit below here, but you really want to see gold do this. Because if gold starts staying back below this range high, perhaps this was just a deviation and now we're going to trade lower. And that's exactly what I'm showing on Bitcoin as well, right? We want to see the Bitcoin move sustain. We do not want to see it bleed all the way back in. This is still okay, but now I want to see it catch a bid, or else it might have just been a deviation and we're going to trade lower. I want to see this go up now. Maybe a little lower, maybe a little deeper into here, but this is exactly the area I'd marked. I had this low to this high. I said it's pulling back to the gray box. And that's exactly what happened. So I did analysis on gold and silver and the dollar, and I went really in depth on how I trade them. And the feedback was extremely positive, but the views are just not there. Like, I think that video got like 2,000 views, whereas my crypto videos get 5,000, 6,000 views. So it just doesn't seem like there's as much interest in traditional markets. But, you know, I can do videos on ES and gold and Forex because I trade all of them. It just doesn't seem to get the same level of interest from people. How do you feel about promoting Rollbit after Rug? Did they rug? Is this news to me? And I don't promote Rollbit. I worked with them on one stream, and then I heard some stuff about their background and who the owners was, and I ended that relationship. So I think there's only one video of me actually using Rollbit, and I don't think I've ever tweeted about them before or their token. So I don't know. You got the wrong guy, bro. And I wasn't aware that they rugged as well. I know there was some stuff around their license and yada yada, but it seems like they got their license renewed. It's an online casino based out of Caraco, right? Be careful. Just like there's a reason none of these companies are based in the US, right? There's a reason. There's a reason FTX was in the Bahamas and why Binance is in China. Like, there's a reason. Be smart. Like, people going on a site like Rollbit and then being shocked that maybe it's not fair, or they employ some sketchy practices and they're surprised by that. I'm like, don't be naive, man. How can you generate profits from a large downswing in crypto prices? That sounds like a fucking bot comment. Like, you sound like a bot. You would have to short, right? That's how it would work. If it's going down, you would have to short to make money on the way down. Okay. Mayne is a man of sheer focus. I saw him once kill a man with his neck. Allegedly. You allegedly saw that. That's the key word. All right, guys. So I think I'm going to end the video here. Hour and 40 minutes. I think this was a solid session. I will do another video Wednesday. And then I have another video planned for Friday. So you should be getting lots of Mayne content this week. Plans are pretty straightforward. We want to see the daily close on Bitcoin above this level. Let's assume that this is the new high. Okay. Then we will be operating within this range. So I'll be looking to buy dip into this range. Okay. That's the plan on Bitcoin. Ethereum, we're comfy in our long. We have this 12-hour breaker here that if we get a correction on Bitcoin, right? So the Bitcoin, it makes perfect sense. It lines up well, right? Bitcoin is like this right now. So if we break out here and we get this new range, I'm looking for Bitcoin to dip to get long, right? That lines up perfectly with Ethereum potentially pulling back to this breaker for another opportunity to get long. But other than that, I think the plans are pretty straightforward. Dollar's just pushing. Big downside wick, ran out Friday's low. Looks like it wants to push up to this high. It's just what it looks like. Looks like it wants to go to 41.75. That seems to be the draw. And if that's the case, Bitcoin and Ethereum should continue to go up. Dollar retraced into its range, put in a decent sized wick. This could be the top in for the dollar, and then we could trade towards February's low. So we'll have to wait and see how things shape up over the next couple of hours and going into tomorrow. As usual, updates will be in Telegram. If you want to join the Discord, tradermayne.com has the instructions to do it. Thanks to Prime. If you want to support me, use that link in the description. Deposit some money on there. Start trading with me. And yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Hope you learned something.